Oh,
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Root Cause Solutions for You podcast. My name is Fabiola and I am your host. Today, I'm very happy to have a very special guest with us, Adam Avery, who is the Ulan Nutritional Systems store manager. And I think that title doesn't do him justice. I think he is more than that, as a practitioner who has done some of the Ulan training. I know that I relied on his knowledge about products and wellness products in the past. So I'm very happy to have him here with us. And today we're going to be talking about the impact of toxicities in today's world and solutions, things that you could potentially start implementing right away. Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us today.
you're welcome. I'm super excited to be here. Normally, I'm on the other side of this. I'm doing the hosting duties for UNS when we're doing our own webinars and podcasts and things like that. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. So thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you ended up on this side of things as far as helping people and educating practitioners to be better and more equipped to be able to help their clients.
So my story starts about 11 and a half years ago at this point. Actually, but closer to 11. 10. Yeah, I don't. It's been a long time. So I started as a patient of nutrition response testing before I joined staff with Dr. Ulan's office. Um, at the time that I got started as a patient, I was a very unhealthy 30-year-old. I weighed about 315 pounds, severe back issues, problems. My wife had to help me get up out of bed almost every morning because I was in so much pain I couldn't stand up on my
Mhm.
own. And at the time, my daughter, who is now 11, was one. There we go. 10 years. I should do it. um, I was doing something. I went to go pick up my daughter off the floor. Because my daughter's my world and I love playing with her. So I went to go pick her up to play with her. And I almost passed out and fell on her. Just from bending over, and that was really the straw that broke the camel's back. My wife had already been a patient of nutrition response testing, and she was trying to get me involved with the whole thing for probably about 6 months prior to that. And I'm pig-headed, stubborn, male, and I just wasn't listening. But that day when I went to go pick up my daughter off the floor, I almost fell on her. I mean, she's one, and she's a tiny little bit of nothing. Um, I could have seriously hurt or killed her. So that was my wake up call. So I go and I finally go to see a practitioner. I get involved with everything. And 6 months in, I hadn't really noticed much because I had a lot going on.
Mhm.
But there was a day I was out in the backyard. It was early summer down here in Florida, so getting the lawnmower ready because you got to mow your lawn every 2.5 days down here when it rains.
Yep.
And so I get the lawnmower out, I strip down the engine, I clean it up real good, put it all back together. I'm running around chasing my daughter around the backyard. We're having fun. And that's when it hit me. Normally, I would be completely wiped out for 2 to 3 days after doing something like that. And my back didn't hurt. I still had energy, still had a long ways to go on the weight. And I was actually in between jobs at that point, but seeing that difference,
Mhm.
I came into the UNS headquarters here in Clearwater, and my exact words, I don't understand the voodoo you do, but sign me up because I haven't felt this good in a very long time. So that's my story. And knowing the results that I got, knowing that this company trains practitioners to do that with everybody,
Mhm.
every patient that might sign me up. I'm here. And that was 8 years ago, at the beginning of July. I celebrated 8 years with UNS. So
Wow. Well, congratulations. I mean, that's such a wake up call, right? Like many of us um, know that there's something going on, or someone's alluded at something, and we're quite we're good at sometimes not wanting to look at something, and it sometimes it takes that rock bottom
yeah,
situation
it
where
really does.
yeah,
So
no, that's very powerful. So well, today the topic, right, the main topic is toxicities. And um,
something I'm very familiar with from my own story, as you can tell.
yeah, and toxicities are everywhere, right? I mean, with the line of work that we do, we definitely are able to pick up on the energy of whatever chemical
Mhm.
stressor, right, or environmental, where it might be coming from. As practitioners, we have that tool, but it's not something that we can escape. We live in a very toxic world. I was listening to another lecture this morning where they were mentioning that unfortunately, since the Industrial Revolution, right? I mean, our world is just more toxic than ever. And yeah,
Absolutely.
we have like, glyphosate, right? Which is a very harmful chemical that it really messes up with your um, joints and brain health and heart health, right? Because it's a fat soluble chemical. And then
Right.
we also have pathogens, right? That we are often fighting off, like parasites, mold, viruses, bacteria. And I think because of these different chemicals, it just some people unfortunately have a very hard time keeping their drainage pathways open. Their bodies have a really hard time detoxing, and I, as a practitioner, often see it where we're supplementing, we're doing this, but I do feel like I don't believe that one technique is it's a one size fits all, kind of
Yep.
mentality. And I do feel like applying other modalities, other tools to be able to enhance your body's detox ability, because your body is very intelligent. It knows it's been designed to know exactly what to do, but these chemicals are definitely slowing us down. So something we do here at the practice is we use an amazing tool, which is the ion cleanse foot bath. And I was hoping you could uh, raise our awareness on what that amazing tool is, how it works, and how many people can benefit from their local practitioner. I think they have a directory where you can find a practitioner near you, or even going as far as owning your own, because the whole family, right, could definitely
Absolutely.
benefit, and potentially you can put in your garage and have a party and charge your neighbors, and it will pay
That's
for
not a
it.
bad idea.
Tell us a little bit about your point of view and your knowledge about toxicities, and
Right.
what our solutions could be.
So, great point. And one thing I've had the benefit of learning over the last 8 years of working with UNS is how toxic the environment really is. And you mentioned a few things like chemicals, metals, things like that. But there's other factors like you can take city water
Mm,
anywhere in the United States, and the level of pharmaceutical grade drugs that can be tested in that water, along with pesticides, metal content. I mean, look at Flint, Michigan,
yeah.
just as an example, like the lead contamination. And then you've got other practices like, um, and this might be a little controversial for me to say, but I'm going to say it, fracking, the hydraulic fracturing that forces chemicals into the ground. And when the bedrock breaks, that puts that into the groundwater. So
Hmm.
you've got all of these factors coming in from everywhere. And it really is having a very negative impact on everybody's life. You know, pesticides on our food. If you look at food, you know, even stuff that's certified organic is using really nasty pesticides. The problem with pesticides is they spray it over the crops, but when it rains or when they water the crops, it washes off and goes into the ground. And now that's absorbed into the root structure of the plants, and that gets into the crops. So you're ingesting these pesticides. What problems does that create? You name it. I mean, it affects the immune system. It actually can stop the immune system from functioning correctly because the body can't use like the lymphatic drainage system to get stuff out of the body. 98% of your immune system, or sorry, not 98, 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. If that's being impacted by chemicals and metals, preventing the gut flora from doing what it's supposed to do and get some of these toxins out of the body into the liver, you're not going to respond to any type of modality. And, you know, you kind of nailed something that I want to address, you know, as alternative healthcare practitioners that I work with daily, that you guys look at things from a holistic point of view. Holistic means whole body, not just supplementation or exercise. It's every aspect. So you could be getting a massage. And massage is great. You know, it'll help open up the drainage channels, get things out of the body. But if you're not using nutrition and chiropractic and all of these other things together to really move that out, what's going to happen is those toxins that you release are going to redeposit in the fatty tissues of the body. Because when there's toxins and metals, the body stores those in the fatty tissues. So one reason, from what I've learned from Dr. Ulan, that people have trouble losing weight because their body is not draining out these toxins. So you've got to have a way for the body to naturally get these toxins out. And that's kind of where, you know, aside from good nutrition, chiropractic, massage, that's where the foot bath from AMD comes in. AMD is a major difference, by the way. They just abbreviate the company name. So, real quick story for you. My priority for many, many years was handling my heart with heavy metals. When I started doing the research on which foot bath we were going to carry, because you guys were requesting it a lot. So I get the fun job. I get to figure out which toys we're going to carry in the store for you guys.
Right.
You tell me, hey, we're looking at this. By the way, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. It might get a little bit loud because it just started raining and I've got a skylight directly over my head.
Don't worry.
So I started doing this research, and several of our practitioners actually use this brand. And when I talked to them, they provided me with heaps of research, which we have available to everybody, including clinical studies showing the reduction of glyphosates in the body, the reduction of metals, improvement with even autistic kids. You know, because there's links to autism and metals and things like that. So I get to be the guinea pig when we carry something. So I was on a fairly substantial metal detox protocol, and I started using the foot bath, and probably within, I want to say, about 8 to 9 months, my protocol reduced by like 2/3 of what I was taking. You know, and I know people are like 8 to 9 months, but you got to think you're working at a cellular level. It's not an overnight fix. You know, it's not a one pill fix. You know, so yeah, the foot bath was actually originally, I'm just pulling up some information here real quick. Sorry about that. So, uh, Ion Cleanse was founded actually back in 2002 by Dr. Bob Maroney. And his research, like many holistic healthcare practitioners, stemmed from a near death experience that he had
Wow.
back in 1982. He was in very poor health and actually on the verge of not being among the living anymore. And he started looking at the link between chemical toxicities and individuals' health. And that led him down the path of developing the Ion Cleanse foot bath. And, so the company's been going since 2002. They're one of the leaders in the market. And they've got the clinical research to back it up, showing that the feet can actually be a really good drainage path
Mm-hmm.
to get chemicals and toxins out of the body.
That's so awesome. Yeah. So it's you bring heavy metals right into the conversation, and I've one of my first things too that showed up unfortunately was heavy metals. And don't blame my parents for this, and I tell this my story to clients that I work with. So but when I was a kid, I used to break thermometers back in the day when they had mercury, and we
Yep.
used to play with it and be like, oh my god, it's so cool, right? Not really understanding what the repercussions that definitely does, right? Mercury, we know, is a very unstable um element, right? And it's very,
So fun to play with when we were kids.
it really was. It was like so cool. And then I guess RoboCop, was it RoboCop or Terminator, right? Yeah, a really cool, bad guy who was made out of mercury, if I remember correctly. So anyway, so yeah, and one of the first things that I used to suffer from really bad migraines and headaches, and was
Mm.
bounced from one specialist to another and doctors, and no one could figure it out. And obviously my diet wasn't the best, right? So that did not help at all. And it wasn't until I was introduced to muscle testing that it was they were able to pick up on the energy of mercury. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh, okay. And then as I worked changing my diet and really detoxing and allowing my body to not necessarily have to hold on to these different heavy metals that I was showing up for, then my weight got better. My migraines got a lot better. So mental clarity, right? And my ability to think better and faster was better. So I definitely can relate to having been exposed to chemicals. And I grew up in Mexico City. Mexico City is not necessarily the cleanest air,
Mhm.
right? That what can breathe.
I,
Um,
I would imagine places like LA might be a little bit worse, but
Right, I know, right? Well, we're in a valley, so there's no airflow. And the days that we have a blue sky, it's like, oh my god, and everybody's snapping pictures because you can see the sky. So it's I grew up in a very toxic environmental toxic environment, pollution and stuff like, and all that stuff, like you said, is just stores in your body, and your body just the liver does such a great job, right? And trying to uh store help us with hormones and cholesterol and detoxing and all
but
that
it
stuff.
has its limits as well.
Yeah.
If you clog up that liver or your kidneys and they can't filter anything out anymore,
Yeah.
I mean, what is your body going to do? It's going to put those chemicals somewhere away from your organs.
Right. Yeah. It is. Yeah, you're right. It slows us down, right? And then the liver is like, gosh, give me a break. So, doing the ion foot bath, like I said, it's such a crucial tool for us as practitioners. And yes, when a client shows up for heavy metals, toxicities, and even a Lyme protocol, like if you have Lyme
Mhm.
disease, how it just truly helps support the immune system.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you, finding that little gadget for us. Because
Yeah, like I said, the research on new products to carry for you guys to so that you can do more for your patients. That's the fun part of my job because I get to nerd out and like okay, weave my way through and you know like some of the research that I got from a major difference. Okay, they did a 30-day evaluation on glyphosate.
mm,
Okay, and there were 19 participants, 9 in the control group, and 10 participants in the therapy group. So the control group is just checking their levels, so on and so forth. And then, so the therapy group did 3 30-minute sessions a day for 4 weeks. So 12 sessions total uh, per patient. And they used the Ion Cleanse Solo unit, which is the unit that's designed for home use.
hmm
Okay, there's 2 units. There's the Ion Cleanse Premier, which is designed for practitioner use in the office. There's more programs, more functionality associated with that one. And then you've got the solo unit, which has one program, which they find most people to do really well with, so that they can use it at home and continue to get the benefits. So the laboratory that actually conducted this study was the Great Plains Laboratory. And after a 30-day evaluation, there was a 34% net reduction in glyphosate in the therapy group versus the control group.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, that's awesome.
34% is huge, and they did this by a urinalysis test, so they could test the levels. Um, and it might take a little bit longer for patients who are doing it once or twice a week. These guys are doing it 3 times a day, so they got significant results fairly. I mean, 4 weeks is pretty quick. Um, but that was an independent laboratory study on the effectiveness of the ion cleanse units, and that just speaks worlds for what it does.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, because we're all doused in, this awful chemical, and it's like you said, even organic farmers, they do their best, to
Mhm.
keep their soil clean and like everything they need to do, but then they don't always have control over farms around them, or the direction of the wind, right? And just thinking like the half-life of glyphosate, right? I mean, if you are continuously putting this on your soil, then it's gonna take forever. That thing, it's never going to be leaving your system. Unfortunately, here in the US, for some reason, we just haven't demanded enough that our that policy changes, and hopefully the purpose of doing this podcast is to raise awareness, right? Let's wake up together,
Absolutely.
because when we start demanding shift and changes, people people who are in charge of those policies hopefully will have to listen. And I do believe that you vote with your dollars, right? So if you start buying organic versus conventional, you will start making a difference. But our animals, right, are exposed to them. And I often, when my dogs get sick or for some reason, or their stools get funky, or I'm like, what could you have been exposed to? And I muscle test my dogs, and many times they show up for industrial environmental chemicals, glyphosate.
Mhm.
Yeah, the dog park was probably just sprayed, and they're exposed to
Huge.
this. Yeah, so we're all kids, right? I mean, gosh, when the blood-brain barrier is not fully formed until the age of 7, and then so you're even more susceptible as a kid to these different environmental chemicals. So how does the ion cleanse foot bath work? Like, I mean, there's obviously a method to
Right.
this.
So there's a lot of science behind it. I'm not going to get into because some of it, I'll be honest, goes way over my head.
Yeah.
But the way that it works is they have a proprietary patented technology that when you put your feet in the water, and just to um, address one factor that comes up a lot about foot baths of any brand, is the changing of the color of the water with or without somebody's feet.
Right.
Okay. Um, a major difference did a beautiful job of explaining this to me why that happens. So you can put the plates in the water
Mm-hmm.
without somebody's feet in it, and the water will change colors.
Yeah.
That is simply because of the output of the positive and the negative ions into the water, attracting the minerals that are already in that water.
Right.
Right. But what you'll see is it's generally like a lighter, still clear color, like a light yellow, light
Yep.
orange type color.
Mm-hmm.
Once you put the feet in the water, now you're going to start seeing all of this other stuff coming out. The dark greens, the blacks, the red spots in the water that have, I mean, you see it's pretty gross. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yep.
But the way that the unit works is you take these metal plates and you put them into the tub. And the way the unit is set up is, and this is what makes AMD different from the other brands, by the way. So for part of the session, the array panels, that's what they're called, will be
Mm-hmm.
putting negative ions into the water. With the negative ions into the water, it will attract the positively charged toxins and particles in the body. And it works kind of like magnets. So when you put
Mm-hmm.
a North Pole and a South Pole together, it pulls them together, right? Now, a lot of the foot bath units, from what I've been able to find, will only use either negative or positive
Mm-hmm.
for the entirety of the session. So it only handles half of the problem. The AMD unit will switch between negative and positive. So, say you're running on the program that does 50-50. So, half of the time, it's going to be putting negative ions into the water, drawing out the positively charged toxins. And then it's going to switch to the positively charged ions and pull out the negatively charged toxins. So, it's a more complete detox than a lot of the other units out there. And that is the proprietary technology of AMD. Um, no other company has that, which kind of blew me away, and the fact that they were willing to, share clinical research. I had plenty of companies when I talked to them. Oh no, it works. Don't worry about it. Sorry,
Right.
that doesn't work for me. I work with practitioners. It's not. They need evidence, and I got another interesting case study here for you in a couple minutes, but but that's how the unit works. And the
Yeah.
Premier unit has 5 different programs, and each of
Mm-hmm.
those programs will do different lengths of time positive, different lengths of time negative, things like that. Whatever's best for your patients.
Right. We use it, like I said, it's one of our main tools of enhancing someone's detox program. And we're able to muscle test which,
Yeah.
like, mode 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever energy of stressor we're picking up through muscle testing. Oh, mold showed up for you. Okay, good. We're going to do this mode for, let's see, how many weeks or how many sessions, right? And be able down to get very customized for the client who's going through a detox program. And
Just on that point, real quick, one for one, all of our practitioners that are using the foot bath in their office are seeing um, about 2 to 3 times faster results
mhm.
on a detox program than they were just using supplementation alone.
Yeah, no, it definitely, yeah, it does enhance, and it's totally worth it. And you're right, the water, once you get in there and then the machine starts doing its thing, and then you look at the water, you're like, oh my God, that is like so gross. And if many
Oh,
times people like, well, how is this? I'm like, trust me, do a session. Once you finish your session, you're not gonna want to stop. You're gonna be like, oh my God, get this out of me, because it's so eye-opening, right? But I keep meaning to save water from one of our sessions and put it at the front desk and be like, yeah, that's what's gonna
I would
come out.
just take pictures because that may not smell real good after a while.
It's
Uh,
a it'll be in a glass jar.
there
So
you go. There you go. Now,
it feels
here's
like,
another aspect for you.
yeah,
You're talking about how, as human beings, we're a very visual um, group, right? This is also another really good way to get new patients
yeah,
into an office, who are, because we've seen a fundamental shift in healthcare
mm,
since 2020. People are more interested in holistic healthcare than they have ever been. There's plenty of studies to show it.
yeah,
Natural healthcare is a $1.4 billion industry. Okay. People are looking for natural ways to improve their health after everything that's occurred over the last few years.
true,
Right. So you can use the fact that we're a visual society to your advantage to get people in. Offer, some special deal on the foot bath.
hmm,
Using muscle testing, using nutrition, yeah, you're going to get results, but it's not something they can see in the same day.
yeah,
Right? You sit somebody down, you put their feet in that water for 30 minutes, and now they see what's going on. And you get that card that comes with the foot bath, and you can show, what meridian channels, what drainage channels
mm,
are the colors in the water. And you'll
yeah,
see a separation of the blacks and the greens and the dark rusty oranges and the white foam that's, lymphatic drainage. Now
true,
you've got somebody's interest. Now you're like, oh, yeah, maybe they can do something to help. So it's not only a tool to enhance somebody's program, it's a tool to get somebody onto a program.
yeah. Yeah,
You
and also like if you're already on a program and having a hard time maybe bringing a family member who really needs to be on a program, or a husband or a wife who are quite not quite ready, right? I'm like, bring them for a foot bath. That is a great service to start with, and once you're done with it, then we'll maybe their mind may have be at a different stage where they're like, okay, I'm
I'll tell you what, had I had access to the foot bath when I started as a patient, I probably would not have fought with my wife so bad about getting onto a nutrition
See?
response
Yeah.
testing.
There you go. Happy wife, happy life, right?
Absolutely. And with that, we talked a little bit ago about autism. So I just want to give you one of the case studies
Yeah.
also on autism, because this is a big thing, especially with kids. I mean, when you and I were in grade school, autism was what, 1 in 500 kids?
Yeah. If,
It's
yeah.
like 1 in 10 now, and it's, there's a, it can be traced back to toxicity of the environment. So
Yeah.
this was a case study that was done, and this was done with 24 participants over 4 months, doing a cleanse every other day. Okay, so the symptomology tracker, it's called the ATEC scores. They track speech and language,
Mm-hmm.
sociability, sensory and cognitive awareness, health, physical, and behavior. Those are the 4 categories.
Mm-hmm.
The higher the score, the more severe the autism is.
Okay.
ASD is autism spectrum disorder. Okay. No other protocols were introduced to this group. So, in the over the 4 month period, there was a 35% reduction of the ATEC scores,
Wow.
meaning that these 24 kids that were part of this study, showed an increase in all 4 of those categories by 35%. They
That's
did so much better. I mean, how amazing is that? no other protocols, no nutrition, no medical, no chiropractic, just the foot bath.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it shows you the power of the human body to do what it's supposed to do when you can remove the barriers out of the body,
Yeah.
metals, chemicals, toxicities. I mean, how many cars are on the road?
Mm,
Walk down the
I
street.
know, right?
How much stuff are you breathing in?
Yeah.
5G, EMF radiation is everywhere. That's a toxicity in of itself. Pesticides. You can become toxic to foods if you're eating too much of the same thing over and over and over again. So the impact that this has on society in general. I mean, I've got other case studies, and I think we're going to run out of time to really get into those. But um, just the impact that this can have in your community. You get one or two foot baths set up in your office, or you get your patients to buy their own, and they start doing this. Like you said, hey, let's have a neighborhood party, neighborhood detox party.
Yeah.
But it starts with one patient at a time. You've got to get it out there into your communities to start making a difference.
Yeah, no, that is true. It's very powerful because yeah, kids, right? I mean, um, I think us as practitioners, we're definitely working on mom, dad, and their friends and whomever they may refer. But often we definitely see their kids, and right, kids are our future, and we want them to be as able and capable as they need to be in order to deal with life as they grow, and they definitely are being slowed down by
Mhm.
the
That's
chemical
our
toxicity.
future.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our entire future. And
Yeah.
if they're so disabled by what's being done now, what's going to happen to the next generation or the next generation? Is there
Right.
going to be a generation after that?
Yeah, you're right. How just yeah, it just kind of domino effects, right? From
Yeah.
from that point on. And many times, right, when we were dealing with a kid, I did an interview with another practitioner who is dedicated her life to help families and kids, especially, and moms. But we were just talking about how different behavioral issues, right, may arise during someone's growing up, right, and what's the root cause of that, right? So we definitely talked about some of the things that might be impacting, but definitely chemicals, right, heavy metals, glyphosates, all that different stuff, and the environmental chemicals, and even how Lyme disease plays a huge role on some of these behavioral issues
Mhm.
that some of our youngsters are dealing with. And correct me if I'm wrong, but does the ion cleanse foot bath do support can support anyone's uh, detoxing journey if they are dealing with Lyme disease?
As far as I know, yes, because I do know it helps improve, immune function. It helps improve drainage, things like that,
Mhm.
by getting that stuff out of the body. Um, and pretty much anybody can do this. I mean, there's a couple of people, a couple of classifications that it's not suggested for, like pregnant women.
Right.
Just because you don't want to introduce anything to the fetus that could potentially harm the fetus or potentially harm mom. And
Mm-hmm.
then people with electronic implants like pacemaker, insulin pumps, things like that. Just because they're life-saving devices, you don't want to introduce some sort of electrical current that could disrupt those. So it does use electricity. Perfectly safe. Like I said, I do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's also part of their patented technology. And but yeah, I mean, people see vast improvements across the boards,
Yeah.
and and I know that just sounds kind of cheesy, but I've given you guys a couple of case studies where it's not me just saying there's improvements across the board. It's not just you saying there's improvements across the board. It's here's a clinical case study performed by an independent clinical laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's not the same lab every time that does the tests. It's different labs that have been doing all of these tests. There's another autism study that was done. I'm just going to cover this one real quick because these numbers are even better than the first one. So this one had 27 participants. 10 of them were teenagers. It was a 4-month study. New protocol, 3 days on, 1 day off. So they would do the foot bath for 3 days, take a day off. Do the foot bath for 3 days, take a day off. No other protocols were introduced on this study. In the 4 months, there was a 55% average reduction of the ATEC scores.
Wow.
55%, over half of the group showed vast improvements in all categories.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In fact, Fabiola, I'm going to make sure you have these case studies so that you can link it up with the podcast, because this is incredible stuff, And I think if people could actually see the slides that I'm looking at over here from A Major Difference, they'll be like, purple smoke everywhere.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, they're super safe for kids, right? And thank you for mentioning some of the contraindications, so that people are aware who is safest to be doing it or not. And so what would be like a typical schedule one could follow, as far as like, I'm ready to get my foot bath, or I'm ready to look for a practitioner who delivers this service? What would be a typical schedule to be doing this foot baths?
So a typical schedule, and this will vary from office to office if you're going into a practitioner. It's usually once a week. So like with nutrition response testing patients, at the beginning part of their care, they come in once a week, and a lot of practitioners will try to schedule those appointments together, so that they come in and they do what they need to, whether it's chiropractic, nutrition, acupuncture, massage, and then do the foot bath. Now, I will say, do the foot bath at the end of everything else.
Okay.
Especially if you're doing like acupuncture, chiropractic, massage, nutrition, yes, because there's things that practitioners have to check for. But stuff that's going to open up the drainage channels, do that before you do the foot bath, because it's going to make the foot bath more effective. Okay. At home, if you have a patient who wants to get their own unit, 2 to 3 times a week, would be ideal. Do it like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or every other day, because honestly, I'm 41. That's 41 years that I've been living in a toxic environment. How long is that going to take to detox? It's not an overnight thing. And then once you get the body cleaned up real well, you got to want to maintain that. Yeah. So after, a certain amount of time, you might go down to once every other week, right? But you're just going to maintain that. AMD actually said, in order to really get to a maintenance part of that, they suggest, doing 1 foot bath a week for every year you've been alive. So for me, it would be 41 weeks once a week.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's a reasonable protocol, even if you're doing it at home, that you can do. It's grab a book, turn off the TV, put your feet in the water, 30 minutes, read, relax. Just have some you time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, some pampering time while you're detoxing. And so what are some of the benefits from doing ion foot baths? I mean, we talked about definitely a lot of immune support and drainage and autism, but what are some of the other benefits?
It actually will help you relax, which can help your sleep. And
Mhm.
if you're anything like me, you don't sleep. That's only because I work a lot. Um, it actually helps by clearing out the drainage channels and clearing the toxins out. It helps your body absorb nutrients better.
Mm,
So even if you're not on a nutrition protocol, but you're trying to eat healthier, you're going to get more out of the food that you're eating. You're actually going to digest better because you're getting all of this stuff out of your gut.
yeah,
Um, and then yeah, just the detox part of it. I mean, I can't even tell you how much better I feel after I do the foot bath because the body continues to detox even after you're done. You know, it gets everything moving, and then you're like, oh wow, I feel great. For me, it's an energy thing. I
yeah,
have a lot more energy, and I don't know how many of your patients notice that when they're dealing with a detox, they're drained. They have nothing in the tank, and
yeah.
this helps with their energy level as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're right. When you're detoxing, right, your body it's recruiting or needing as much energy as needed to be able to push through some of those processes. But a lot of clients have definitely expressed that the after a foot bath or like once you've been doing it for a while, because it's the cumulative effect of it,
Mhm.
right? Like you mentioned, we've been on this earth for you know I'm also 41, so for 41 years, and one foot bath, it's unfortunately not going to be enough. And some of us, depending on our program, may require a more intense schedule to really be able to get to the to that cellular level that you were mentioning. But
Yeah.
some clients have definitely reported, yeah, like you said, better sleep, more energy, stress and anxiety. That was a very interesting one, like feeling more relaxed. I definitely feel that when I do a foot bath, I feel just a little more, not
Hmm.
as heavy. I feel more relaxed, and definitely lessening the like my adrenals definitely feel like, oh, thank you, you literally just relax here for 30 minutes, you did nothing but just sit here and just give me 30 minutes. My vagus nerve definitely appreciates that. And so yeah, no, that's definitely. And we have, yeah, all peoples of all different ages, kids, and I think it's even safe for animals, isn't it?
It would be if you can get an animal to sit still long enough to do it. Yes.
Right?
The problem is getting them to sit still long enough
There.
because
Yeah. I
you
haven't
know
I haven't tried on my dogs, but I think there was a practitioner, I can't remember, I think a horse or something. And I was like, oh, that is like so intense. Send me a picture.
yeah. If you can, more power to you. Most dogs, though they like water, they won't sit in it for 30 minutes at a time.
Nope.
They'll get out and run around, and then you've got,
Yep.
think of it this way, that's a lot of really gross water if they're running around your home or your office.
Oh, God, yeah. Definitely. Uh,
um,
we talked about feet, but what about hands?
you can. I mean, it might be a little bit awkward just because of the way that the tub is set up and everything like that. You know, you'd
Mhm.
have to have it up on a table and then you're up here. It's
Yep.
actually much more comfortable just to have because you can be sitting in a comfortable chair with your feet in the water, and it's actually much better to do it that way. Um, and one thing I get asked a lot is it okay if I play on my phone or
Mhm.
I mean, yes, but here's the thing: you're trying to detox. Playing on your phone is going to expose you to more EMF radiation, or on your tablet. It also, you're going to be like, take the time to disconnect. We are so plugged into technology
Yeah.
that we have to find ways to disconnect for a little bit. Every day we should be disconnecting for a little bit from the technology.
Yeah.
So take advantage of, like you said, having that time to pamper yourself. Close your eyes for 30 minutes. Just let it be. Just
Yeah.
nothing. Turn your phone off, is my suggestion.
Yeah, no, I love it. I have a client who she spent, I don't know how many foot baths she's done so far, but this is, yeah, she comes in every Wednesday and it's her standing, appointment. Like some of us have standing hair appointments. She's got her standing foot bath appointment every Wednesday and she loves it. And that's the moment that she's like, oh, no one's bothering me. No one is needing me. And if they do, they know that this is what I'm doing. So it's a very relaxed half an hour for her. Now,
Exactly. Moms love it. Get them away from the kids for a little bit.
right, just a little bit, yes. So if someone who is like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to purchase my own foot bath or
Mhm.
find a practitioner near me to so I can start my a detox program with the ion foot bath, how would you suggest someone go about that?
All right. So there's three answers to this question. If, as a patient, you're looking for a practitioner near you, you can go to a majordifference.com and they have a practitioner locator on their website. So you can find somebody close to you who
Mhm.
has the AMD foot bath and go and visit their office. As a practitioner, you can contact me here in the UNS Health Store. I'm going to plug my phone number if you don't mind. And my direct number is 727 683 5893. And I can help you order a foot bath for the office.
Nice.
At which point, you can also contact a Major Difference and they will put you on their practitioner referral site so they can refer people to you.
Hmm.
And then, in terms of people having one in their home, there's two options. A patient can go directly to AMD. They can buy either the Premier, which is like the practitioner level
Hmm.
unit, or the solo unit, which is what I suggest for home directly, or they can purchase the foot baths through a practitioner who would get it from me. So lots of different options to be able to take advantage of being able to get this technology. So if you guys aren't sure, talk to your practitioner, bug them like, hey, I heard about this thing. Do you do this?
Yeah.
If they don't, have them call me. I'll explain it to them. I'll send them all of the research information that they would need to show the benefits of having this in their office. Contact Fabiola. She'll be able to give you some information as well, and especially if you're local. By the way, if you guys are local to Fabiola, get into her office. Both she and Sophie, who she works with, are phenomenal practitioners, and you guys cannot go wrong with doing anything with their office. So take advantage of that.
Thank you.
uh, yeah. Well, I've believe it or not, I've actually known you for the full 8 years that I've been here. I know your guys practice really well.
Yeah.
You're one of the top practitioners for nutritional response testing in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This practice has been here for, I think it's 17 years, going on
Yep.
18. So,
Yep. So
yeah.
Sophie has been around with UNS for a long time.
Yeah, she definitely has. Yeah, no, that's so awesome. We've covered so much today, and I think everything that we covered, it's always going to be applicable to the
Mhm.
times we live in, because we are always going to be wanting to have better health, have for people who are looking for holistic alternative tools, it's always going to be available to them. I do the foot bath, my family does it, it's part of our program, and it's definitely a great gadget to have as part of your arsenal to protect yourself, your family, your neighbors, whatever, to be able to have that better quality of life. And because, yeah, just like we're as holistic practitioners and the companies we work with are very devoted on finding and giving us the tools that we need in order to do our jobs better. There's also companies out there that unfortunately are creating chemicals,
Mhm.
new chemicals every day in order to put in their products, to put in.
Under the guise of help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's an ever always working relationship, and it's
So,
never, you're never gonna be too wrong or wrong at all on wanting to have an extra layer of protection. So I really appreciate you taking the time educating us about the importance of proper detoxification and this the ion cleanse foot bath, and yeah, and being there for practitioners who are already established, new practitioners who are just getting established, or people who are looking for a career shift into more something like what we do. So really
mhm.
appreciate your time today. And
It has been my absolute pleasure, and I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down and go over this with you today. I mean, it's such an important topic and something that people do need to be aware of.
yeah,
Um, and like I said, it's been a lot of fun being on this side of the of the hosting duties rather than on Fabiola's side today. So thank you
right.
again so much for having me be a part of this.
Yeah, for sure. And I will make sure to add all the applicable links to the studies or contact information in the show notes so that anyone can access that information at any time.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, Adam.
Have a
Well, thank
great
you
have a great weekend. Actually, it's Friday.
It's Friday. Yes, yes.
It's Friday.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And we'll be hopefully talking about another subject another time.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Awesome.